perhaps, well, her ambition is to get in the top 10, but she has looked good of late, I'm told.
Well, it's nice to see Zola back in action. For the first time she's come to the World Cross Country Championships representing South Africa, and also free from all the political turmoil that she used to carry around with her when she was back representing England. But Zola, you know, she decided that after the Olympic Games last year that she did have the appetite for international competition again, and she's got Alana Meyer just behind her in the green and yellow strip of South Africa too, and she's got her to spur her on because she is the top South African, number 333, the Olympic silver medalist, and the two are sort of friendly rivals, and they're keeping each other going, and it's good to see Zola back in this position, stretching out, running well and running strongly.
What a talent Paula Radcliffe is. 1-3-4. There's Meyer, 3-3-3. Can't spot Tula at the moment, but she must be up in that front group somewhere. McColgan, along with Lynn Jennings, the 3 times winner. Jennings, of course, had an appendix operation, 11 weeks ago, just before she was due to appear in Durham. And I wonder how fit she really is. She went to the World Indoor Championships in Toronto and did quite well in the 3,000 metres. But Zola has taken this one on. I was wondering who might take it on, and clearly she fancies her chances. Obviously feels good to take on the pace at this early stage.
Well, they've gone through the first kilometre, and the first kilometre is usually a little bit too quick. And now I feel it's the same way here today, and Zola's probably running a little bit faster than she needs to at this early stage, and picking away behind her number 333 in the green and yellow, the Olympic silver medalist, Alana Meyer, just moving up onto the outside, and right behind her, 166, Katrina McKiernan, the Irish girl. Then Lynn Jennings, who just managed to hurdle those trees there. Most of them are just running straight through them, but Lynn obviously fancied her chances of hurdling them. And she's back in about 8th place and in the right place. And on the inside, I can see Liz McColgan. She's working her way through the field, and she feels that the distance training she's been doing recently in preparation for the London Marathon will probably stand her in good stead towards the second part of this race.
The leading Ethiopian at the moment is Marina Dendoba, an 18-year-old who was 20th last year, 18th the year before. But I have to say that the South African presence is a real one here. Incidentally, Zola won the South African trial by, 58 seconds. And in the absence of Alana Meyer, she was given a free run through to these World Championships. But South Africa 1 and 2 at the moment. And it's interesting, isn't it, Brendan, that Zola, when she won those 2 titles some years ago now, that she came off track work rather than the country. And of course, Alana Meyer's done the same. She's only had 1 race in Europe this season, and that was the Durham race.
That's right, she found the conditions not to her liking that day, but she's finding the conditions much to her liking today. This is a track runner's course. The real good track runners were delighted when they came down and they saw how fast it was. I'm a little bit surprised that Zola wants to take it out as early as she has done and take it all the way. Alana Meyer just moves into 3rd place behind her, and then Katrina McKiernan in the green vest of Ireland, and right behind Katrina McKiernan, Paula Radcliffe, and then just behind Paula Radcliffe is Lynn Jennings, the reigning champion, and alongside Paula Radcliffe is the Italian Dandolo. So the big names, the ones we expected to be there, are moving there. And just at the back of that group, I noticed Liz McColgan was just taking her time and taking a little bit closer order. But Paula Radcliffe is running well. She's certainly not overawed in this competition. And to step up from the World Junior Championships last year, to put herself in contention in the Senior Championships this year is a remarkable feat. And number 102, just on the shoulder of Zola, but you see, is Dendoba of Ethiopia. Wasn't the Ethiopian we were expecting to see there, and I'm looking in that group for the other Ethiopian, the Olympic champion, Deradu Tulu, and I can't quite see her there yet.
We're looking for number 105. Well, the South Africans helping each other. Look at Lynn Jennings now up in the first 3 or 4. And Jennings, originally the defending champion, of course, a winner of the last 3 World Cross Country Championships, won her 7th United States title recently, and wearing the sunglasses, wearing 363. Paula Radcliffe looking good at the moment. Kiernan looking very strong. Over the season, Kiernan is leading the rankings in this World Cross Challenge. Double points in this World Championships as the final race over the season. It's 1:01 from Ethiopia there. I still can't see the world champion, or the Olympic champion rather, Adiri.
Well, the Olympic champion Dorado Tulu, we were told before this race that she's had trouble with a knee injury, and she only came here to make up the team because the Ethiopians felt they had a chance in the team race. Whether that's actually the case, we'll find out as the race evolves, because, you know, I can't remember Dorado Tulu losing a race since last year's World Cross Country Championship. She's won every single race she ran in, and one would have expected her to be close here and in contention if she was 100% fit.
Alana Meyer grimacing there. A couple of laps to go. It's one large lap of 2,300 metres, then two of the smaller laps of 1,900 metres, and then the finish. But Meyer looking confident, isn't she, at the front, coached by Peter Labuschagne. Incidentally, Zola's no longer coached by Labuschagne. She's got another coach now. She's left him for the second time. Jennings there, 3-1-1. That's Albertina Diaz. We mentioned her at the beginning of this. Diaz, who was bronze medalist last year behind Jennings and McKiernan. McKiernan, the Irish woman who's done so well. Well, Meyer gaining in confidence, and Brendan stretching him out a little bit here.
And there's Meyer being chased by Zola, but really this distance of 6,200 metres is quite short for some of these distance runners. 10,000 metres is the distance they run on the track, and Zola Budd in second place there. They've been running for about eight minutes now, and that's well on the way in this particular race. Katrina McKiernan coming up and moving up behind there into third place. She's running well and running strongly. Lynn Jennings, the reigning champion, in fourth. Diaz next to her, and then Paula Radcliffe. And just at the back of the group, running well, is Liz McColgan. But this distance is well short of Liz McColgan's favourite distance, and we'll be seeing her running one of her favourite distances in a couple of weeks' time in the London Marathon.
Well, news of Dorado Tulu, Brendan, the Olympic 10,000 metre champion. She's dropped out well, just in the early stages of the race, never got into it, and clearly the information that you had at the beginning about that injury was right, and she hasn't been able to race at all. Meyer takes it on. McKiernan's there. Bud Petersy's there. 3-1-1, that's Albertina Diaz, third last year, sixth in 1991. She was, of course, a finalist in the Olympic 10,000 metres as well, and was, 10th in that final. But it's now beginning to take shape, this race, and Meyer looks to me to be trying to break away now and to make this race her own. Straight through that fence this time, Brendan. They found the gap. They're not jumping it anymore. Look at that.
Well, this is a real serious bid for victory by Alana Meyer. She's coming up just about approaching halfway. She realizes that 6,200 meters is a distance which she's going to have to work hard at in the second stages of, and she's really making a bid for victory. Katrina McKiernan running a fine race in second place. She's been in the right place all the time. She's a few yards behind, and she probably would like to be a little bit closer up. And Albertina Diaz, who was third in last year's World Championship cross country, is third at this particular point of the race. But I think Alana Meyer senses she's got a break, she's got a chance. In fourth place is Zola Budd Petersy, and then looking further behind is Paula Radcliffe and Liz McColgan, who I think will feature well in the second part of this race. Lynn Jennings on the wide outside with the sunglasses on decides that she needs to take a bit closer order, but I think Alana Meyer almost caught them napping. Esther Kipler got the first Kenyan there in 1, 2, 3, 4th or 5th place there, but I think Meyer now has said, I want this race, I'm going to try and win it. I'm going to win it from the front. She's comfortable running at the front. She ran a very fast 1,500 metres in South Africa in Cape Town last weekend. She ran 4.7 for 1,500 metres. So she's the lady with the speed. And there's Liz McColgan, the lady with the strength, just at the back of that group, working her way through, getting closer as the distance goes on. And I feel if it had been a little bit further, I think Liz would have been a bit closer all the way. But Katrina McKiernan is giving up the fight. She's been in form all through the cross-country season. She's been gauging her effort for this race. The farmer's daughter from County Cavan. She's got 50 of her supporters staying in our hotel, and they're making an awful racket in the evenings, but they're telling us that Katrina's going to be the one that's going to win this race. Well, she's got a chance here, but Meyer's got the few yards on her. Diaz in third place, and then the French girl, and then Zola Budd. And there's Paula Radcliffe running alongside Liz McColgan. So this is a fine race, and McKiernan senses that the chase may well be worthwhile. She's working her way back to Meyer.
on the second lap then of 3 plus a finish straight. And mustn't discount Diaz. She's got the experience. This is, in a sense, new territory for Lana Meyer. She says how different it is to running on the track, and Kiernan looks to me to be taking a nice ride here, Brendan. This is a good piece of tactical running by the Irish woman. She's sitting in there, and the early pace set by Zola Abad Petersi, well, she may well be paying for that now. There's the top 3 so far. Liz McColgan making her way slowly but surely. But of course she hasn't got the finish and needs to make that distance up now.
Well, I think the psychological advantage at this point is with the Irish girl McKiernan. Looking further down the field, there's Fate, Esther Kiplagat of Kenya, Pauline Conga of Kenya, and then Jennings, the 3 times reigning champion. McColgan running well, Paula Ratcliffe just behind McColgan, and also Zola Budd there. But that's the leading 10, and back in the position where she wanted to be. She's now closed the gap. She's looking confident, bumping into Maya, who seems to be all over the place there. Katrina McKiernan running well now. Albertina Diaz. These two were second and third in that difficult race in Boston, but it looks as though Maya's all over the place. She's stumbling from side to side. She's obviously not finding it comfortable when she goes over those artificial barriers. And looking back into 5th and 6th place, Liz McColgan's running well, running strongly, moving through and picking them off one after the other. Number 2, 3, 4 there, Pauline Conga, but I think the race is going to be between these 3. Maya made a bid for victory, then they've closed her down, so the psychological advantage is with the 2 chasers, but Maya's a tough cookie. She's a good 3,000 metre runner, she's a good 1,500 metre runner, and she's really now just got to control herself and just hold herself in that position. But McKiernan is looking confident. She's absolutely in the right place, and when I think back to Boston, she's got a speedy finish as Katrina McKiernan, and she's desperate to win this race. She really has stayed in Ireland. She's been under tremendous pressure with the USA, take track and field scholarship in the USA, but she's decided that she wants to do it from home in County Cavan, and well, she can't get any closer than this. She's timed it right. She's in the right place. She's got her day right, I feel.
We're into the last lap of 1,900 meters, then the straightaway of about 250, and Diaz has taken it on now. McKiernan looks very, very comfortable to me. She won the World Cross Challenge last season, and we're told she's moving up to 10,000 meters on the track this season. There's Jennings going through. 1, 2, 3 is, just try, that's Fetz of France. She was second in the French cross-country championships this season. But Diaz is taking it on. McKiernan in second place. There's Budd, Petersi, the 2 Kenyans, and of course Paula Radcliffe, finding it difficult, the champion over the junior distance last season in Boston. Diaz, Brendan, looks very, very strong.
Diaz looks to be in control. She ran very well to get to that position. In 4th place there, Lynn Jennings, behind her Fates of France. And then Liz McColgan. This is a very promising run from Liz over this particular distance. But I think Maya made a real effort to try and get away from them. Now she's suffering as a result of that. But McKiernan poised on the shoulder of Diaz. McKiernan knows she's going to wait, and she wants to wait, but she's just got to see that Diaz doesn't get too many yards in front of her. In 4th place there, Jennings, then Fate, then Zola, but then McColgan, who had a little bit of a stumble at that particular barrier. I can't remember ever having seen Liz McColgan jump over a barrier, but she didn't do it that time either. She just ran straight through it. Diaz is an experienced cross-country runner. She's been running well through the winter, and I think the pressure is mounting on McKiernan. She just has to hold herself in that position. And counting back down the field, Liz McColgan is now in 7th place, and then Paula Radcliffe in 11th place. Vicky McPherson running very well in 42nd, then Susan Rigg in 50th place, Alison Wyeth not so good today at 83rd, and her teammate Andrea Whitcomb in 95th place. So that's the current running of the British women's team, and now Diaz is putting the pressure on McKiernan. This is the point of the race where it's going to be decided.
McKiernan, 3 victories in major cross-country races this season. She's well versed on the country, but Diaz looking, as I said, strong. She looks as though she's got an edge. McKiernan's got a finish, though, and I wonder whether she can hang on. Certainly, looking at that shot, Ilana Meyer, the South African, who incidentally we're told is going to come and live in Britain to engage in the European circuit this summer, in Guildford, I'm told. But she's now 10 metres or so and finding that very, very difficult indeed. Diaz now making a break, and I just have a feeling that if she can keep going like this, then McKiernan won't catch her. She's in full flight now.
Well, McKiernan was second in this race last year, and I think she felt she had a bit of a chance to win it. The chance of winning it this year is beginning to slip away from her, as Diaz looks strong and in control, having run the perfect race, just staying sufficiently off the pace in the early stages to put herself in contention. And now McKiernan working hard, but she's finding it really difficult, really tough. It's been a very fast race.
27 years old then, Albertina Diaz. Third last year, sixth in 1991. 18th in 1989, she was second in 1990, so this is a landmark for her. And this young woman wearing 363, the American champion for the 7th time, looks unlikely now that she's going to make it 4 in a row and equal Grete Waitz record for these championships. Lynn Jennings lost a lot though with an operation, and she really hasn't come back. But McKiernan, another lease of life here, really attacking. She's grimacing. She wants this desperately, doesn't she? Meyer, well, 10, 12 meters behind her. Then Jennings behind her. And that's Zola Bud Petersea, who's had another lease of life. Behind her, 1, 2, 3 is Fates of France, and then Liz McColgan. Well, that's how they line up then. And it's a very, very tight finish, this, for the places, certainly.
And Zola Budd then had a new lease of life and took on Jennings and Meyer, the Olympic silver and bronze medalists, and Zola made a real effort there. And now McKiernan's got one last chance. They're approaching this little hillock, and then they'll turn the corner and enter the finishing straight. And Diaz looks as though she's got it in control. She skipped over those hills. McKiernan found it, she had to work at them, but now into the finishing straight. Is this a big enough lead for Diaz? It looks as though it may well be. And in third place, Zola Petersea running extremely well, and alongside her, Lynn Jennings, and that will be a tremendous battle for the bronze medal. But the gold medal looks as though it's heading the way of Portugal.
Albertina Diaz, number 311, is about to become the world cross-country champion. McKiernan struggling just a little bit at the moment. This woman hasn't won before, but now she's made no mistakes. The best she has is second, but now it's going to be first. Albertina Diaz. The battle for third place between Jennings and Budd is an interesting one. And McKiernan being run down. Diaz is going to win this quite comfortably. McKiernan in second place and holding on at the moment. And Jennings is going to beat Zola Budd Petersea for third place. Diaz, McKiernan being run down towards the finish. Jennings in third, Bud Petersea in fourth. That's how they finish. And Liz McColgan coming through to pass Ilana Meyer. Meyer looked over her shoulder, nothing she could do. McColgan's in. And that was a superb piece of running. McKiernan second again for second year running. And a young woman now shows all the emotion. She's been so close in the past, and now she is the champion. And she can't believe it, can she? Albertina Diaz of Portugal. She ran it absolutely perfectly, and it was the best field possible that you could assemble.
Well, a fine race and a fine victory by Albertina Diaz. A good run in second place by Katrina McKiernan. And then the champion didn't give up without a fight, Lynn Jennings. Zola Budd ran a fine race in fourth place. And I thought Liz McColgan was tremendously impressive, especially over such a short distance. And we'll see that she means business in a couple of weeks' time in the London Marathon.
Well, there's a South African duo that came here and meant business. Zola Petersea, number 335, being interviewed in the background, is back. So to the men's race, 12 kilometres, 5 laps of 2,300 metres, plus the finish straight, and there's a big field, 240 competitors, and this time 45 countries are represented, and really the balance of power is once again with Africa. Kenya are strong, Ethiopia are strong, Morocco's there, and the British team has depleted a little, Brendan, through illness of late, but really the Africans are going to be very difficult to beat here.
Well, if you look at that British team, it's nice to see Eamon Martin in there, and it's also nice to see Dave Clark, who's running his 10th time in the World Cross Country Championships. That's some mean feat. It's a difficult team to make, and it's often a difficult race to run in. But the favourites have got to be the Kenyan team alongside Khalid Skar and Fita Baisa of Ethiopia. Khalid Skar, the Olympic 10,000 metres champion, twice winner of this race in 90 and 91. Last year he finished 4th in Boston under those treacherous conditions, which he really didn't enjoy at all. And I think today's race is going to be a fine race. I don't think the Kenyans are going to have it all their own way, but I think they're going to take some tremendous beating in the team race itself.
Richard Narurka and Dave Lewis, the two Britons to be forced to withdraw from this race. But really, as you say, Brendan, Fita Baisa, Khalid Skar, these guys are going to take an awful lot of beating. Skar, a lot to prove. The Kenyans, who incidentally have only got 3 of the team that competed last year. They've totally dominated the team event over the years. The 3 are Soro, Sigai, and Karui. That's Dominic Karui. They're the only 3 remaining of last year's team. And of course, it's a false start, Brendan. I think it's a false start. Well, that's extraordinary. I've never seen one of those before. And the starter not at all happy. Well, what a situation here.
Well, he shouldn't really be surprised. You've got a couple of hundred athletes all desperate to get started, all having a bit of a laugh about it. Now he's scampering back and trying to chase him in there with an absolute look of disgust on his face, but he's wasting his time. I mean, this race you may not have seen a false start, but the national cross country in England, we've had false starts for the last 100 years, so there's nothing unusual about that. They all want to get off to a decent start, because you really have to, because the field is so competitive and the early stages are so fast that if you get a bad start, it can ruin the whole race for you. So they're very keen to get going, and he's now looking, absolutely flabbergasted. What a shame. He's got to fire another pellet out of his gun.
Actually, I'm not even sure he was there at the start. He was elsewhere. I think they just took it on themselves to go. They started as per clock, but paid little heed to the starter whatsoever. There's Khalid Skar, the Olympic 10,000 metres champion, the man of whom it is said the Kenyans want to beat. They really are determined to beat him today, and they've got a very good team effort. Starter now. This is his moment. 12 kilometres ahead of them.
Well, actually, this race originated 90 years ago today when they held the first International Cross-Country Championships at Hamilton Park Racecourse in Scotland. 20 years ago, in 1973, it became the World Cross-Country Championships, but it had its origin in Scotland when it was a match between England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. And over the years, it's become more and more international, more and more competitive. And then in 81, when the Kenyans and Ethiopians entered this race, well, they began to dominate it. From 81 to 85, the Ethiopians won the team race, and from 86 until today, the Kenyans have won the team race. And really, the heart of distance running is in East Africa, and I don't think we'll see very much change about that today. Number 317 is William Sigai, who's unbeaten in Kenya this winter, and he's a strong favourite of the Kenyan team. He's already in the lead position, in the pole position, and he looks good and he looks strong, and I think we'll be hearing a bit more about him over the course of the next 30 or 40 minutes.
Clark in the midst of that group, as one would expect, whilst they settle down and establish the rhythm of the race. Mikitenko, Alexander Mikitenko, the tall figure, about 5th or 6th place, had an early lead, and now it's settling down into the first of these 5 laps of 2,300 metres. 3:17. William Sigai, as I began by saying, he was one of the 3 survivors from the team last year. He was 8th in the individual event last year. He won the Kenyan trials, and last season was the Kenyan 5,000 metres champion. Just looking to see if we can identify 511 from Zimbabwe as Chimusasa, Tendai Chimusasa, 40th in the championships last season in the cold Boston. Won the Lisbon half marathon, incidentally, Brendan, so he's quite useful too.
You're judging by the congregation at the front. The early stages have been sensibly slower than they often are, and I think that augurs well for a better and a more competitive and a more sustaining race. Incidentally, just to underline the African threat, you know, it's 1989 since a European won a medal in this championship, and that was Tim Hutchings when he finished second to John Ngugi in '89. And I think we'll be looking a long way down the field to see the first European today. So it's Sigai leading alongside Osoro, the other Kenyan, and right on the outside there was Fita Baissa of Ethiopia. But now, as you can see, the sensible pace start means that they're about 3 seconds separated about 100 athletes.
Ismail Kirui, 18 years old, goes to the front, the short figure, just in the centre of your picture now, 3:15, won the World Junior title last season, so he's advanced now into the senior ranks and fancies his chances. He's up just to the left, in the centre of the echelon now. There he is, 3:15. And he, of course, is Richard Chelimo's brother, and it was he who said, family pride's at stake here. I've got to beat Khalid Scar, even if my brother can't. There he is. There's 1:33. There's the man who, of course, is the favourite. 20 years old, Fita Baissa. The Kenyans, Brendan, now starting to up the pace a little bit. You're right, early on they were very steady, and now they're starting to take it on.
Actually, suddenly there, after about 1,000 metres, the pace suddenly accelerated and they all started to move away, and the group came down to a bunch of Kenyans, and they start opening gaps. And you can see people moving through the field because they realise that the race is beginning to get serious. Khalid Scar was a long way back there, but I can just see him there, number 350 in the red vest of Morocco, on the outside, in the right place, poised well there. I can also see Steve Tunstall, the leading British athlete, and Steve promises to run well today. He's had a good winter, he's been preparing for this race, but it's a very competitive race, as you can see.
Just a little bit over halfway through this first lap, and just trying to identify 1:37 is Gebre Selassie, Haile Gebre Selassie. He's another 20-year-old World Junior 5,000 metre champion, so he's translated well to the country. That was a victory he had last season, 1:37 just at the front. Kenya 1, 2, 4 and 6 at the moment. 9 in each team, 6 to score, unlike in the women's race where it was 4. 1, 3, 2 is Addis Abebe. One of those athletes, one is uncertain about his age. 9th in the World Cross Country Championship in 1991. Won the World Cup 10,000 metres, Brendan, in Havana.
That's right, number 132 on the outside, a good 10,000 metre runner. Alongside him his teammate Fita Baissa, who's won all his races this winter. Been running well all winter. He's come out of Ethiopia a few times to run, and he's managed to succeed in doing that. The Frenchman there, Thierry Pantel, in second place with a ponytail, and then Gebre Selassie of Ethiopia just behind him. But I would love to see the split time for that last 1,000 metres, because the first 1,000 metres was almost pedestrian and almost the whole field was there. And then all of a sudden, the race exploded. They all began to accelerate, and you can't do it on the country, but if you were looking at it on a track, you would see a significant change of pace having occurred. And Dominic Kirui, the 25-year-old Kenyan, who I remember running at Crystal Palace for Kenya against Great Britain at Edinburgh, last summer, very well that day, and running well here. And Pantel's taking him on. He's moved up nicely in second place. They seem to be weaving in and out of the obstacles, but they're not having any problems with them.
Just 1 lap gone, 4 to go in this men's World Championship. And Dominic Kirui, 3:14, not to be confused with Ismail Kirui, 3:15. So 2 Kiruis, unrelated. But Dominic Kirui, well, he's their old 5,000 metre runner. He improved from 13:36.26 to 13:17.26 last season. So he's had a big improvement on the track. Won the international against Great Britain last season. That's the fella in the lead. He's 25 years old. 137. Gebrselassie still in there. It's a fair sprinkling of Ethiopians and Kenyans, as we promised up front. There's a Spanish contingent up there. Try and identify some of the British athletes if we get the shots.
Actually, the Kenyans are quite interesting. They have a trial race and then they have a IAAF race in Nairobi, and they take 15 athletes for 3 weeks to a training camp. And over the course of those 3 weeks at that training camp, when they run 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and then 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they race competitively, they train competitively, and it's at the end of that 3 weeks that they actually select the team of 9 who's going to represent them here. And they seem always to get it right, even though if you look at this year, the big names are not all here, certainly not all here. When you think of people like Richard Chelimo and Moses Kiptanui, the world record holder, and then they come here and they really take the world on, and they've been so good at this event that it's almost frightening when you consider the prospects of the Kenyan team. Dominic Kirui, Ismail Kirui, 314 and 315.
Tell you, Bitok, Kariuki, Kiprono, Kirui Dominic and Kirui Ismail, and then Osoro, Sigai, Moses Tanui, of course, now based in Italy, wearing 318, but look out for him. There he is on the right of your shot, just coming into shot there on the right. And Paul Turgat, wearing 319. So the Kenyans between 311 and 319 in number. And it's interesting here to see what the Ethiopians do about this, because the Kenyans, with a couple of them out there, there's Khalid Scar going through, let me just break off and say that. But with a couple of these Kenyans breaking away here, we've so often seen John Ngugi in the past doing exactly the same thing. And this really is a danger signal at this early stage.
And just looking down the field, we've had some assistance with some of our spotters, but we've got Steve Tunstall in about 38th place, Eamon Martin 40th, young Andrew Pearson looks as though he's running very well today, 45th, Dave Clark 63rd, and Darren Mead, who's just stepped into the team at the last minute, in 94th place. But there's a lot of running to do, and those placings are sometimes very, very variable, but we'll try and keep you informed of the progress of the British distance runners.
317, William Sergai. A response there from Fita Bayisa. He's still there, sitting in. Just watch him, 133. Look at the crowd moving across to the far side. These continental courses, these horse race style courses, give the spectators an opportunity to pop across, but I tell you what, they've got to move very quickly to catch up with the athletes on the other side. They're really now starting to move. And with the Kiruis leading at the moment, that's Dominic, the taller, the 314, and Ishmael, the world junior champion, 315. These two out. So Kenya certainly leading the team event at the moment. 317 is Sigai. And he won the Kenyan trial, incidentally. Well, that's the picture that you have into this second lap, and it's a very, very fast pace now. They're building it and building it as they attack to that hill. I remember you saying yesterday, Brendan, that of all the teams taking these hills, and that particularly that nasty one towards the end of the first lap, that the Kenyans would love it. They'd take it in their stride.
They certainly do have no problem in adjusting their pace and adjusting their style. And the two Kiruis there, settling down together, glancing over their shoulders just to check up where the danger is coming from. But they've settled into a good pace. That break in the second kilometre took them a few to clear. And there's 3 Ethiopians in the chasing group. Gebrselassie, Fita Bayisa, and Addis Abebi. And in third place is William Sigai. William Sigai, who's been unbeaten this winter, and everyone was telling us what a great find he's been, what a great athlete he's going to be. And he's just slowly moving back to the group, looking strong there in third place. Khalid Scar, twice the former champion, Olympic champion. He's in that chasing group. He's in a good position, but that's William Sigai. The 3 Ethiopians, Khalid Scar. We occasionally get a glance at them, but we can't concentrate on that picture too much. But there's the chasing group. There's Khalid Scar, number 350, moving up all the time, getting closer. Just ahead of him, the world 10,000 meter champion, Moses Tanui, the 4th Kenyan. There's Moses Tanui, there's Khalid Skar, and behind him, Fida Bayisa, Addis Abibi, Gebre Selassie, and Bekele, the other Ethiopian with a famous name.
The problem that Khalid Skar has is that there are an awful lot of Kenyans up there, and they do run as a team, and they will want to beat him. And the two Kiruis just maintaining that lead at the moment, and Skar just settling back along with Fida Bayisa, 1:33. And that's coming up to the end of the second lap. Yes, it is.
That's a third of the distance completed. So the race is still in its early stages. The two Kenyans, a few yards clear of the favourite Kenyan, William Sigai, and then the chasing group. And a lot of the big names are in that chasing group, and they're not out of it by any means. That chasing group could be a serious threat to the first three in the second and third part of the race. There's number 314, Nick Kirui. He ran the Olympic Games 5,000 metres last year. He was 14th in that race, but he's progressed this winter. Ismail Kirui, the junior cross-country champion, and then by in 3rd place. And the pace has settled down now. They're running well, they're running fast. But there's a big chasing group, and there's some good athletes, led by Moses Tanui, the world 10,000 metre champion from Tokyo, in that group. Khalid Skar's in that group, Addis Abibi, Fida Bayisa, the big names, the good track runners. And I'm not surprised to find all these good track runners running as well on these conditions, because the British traditional cross-country course, one wouldn't say this was anything like it. And the first Briton just passed in front of us, Eamon Martin running well. In his preparation for the London Marathon, Eamon moving through the field. He's moved ahead of Steve Tunstall, who's the next Briton. And then I'm looking right down ahead of me, I can see Andy Bristow running well in the 3rd place Briton. And I've got to go a fair bit further down the field to see the next Briton. And it's Paul Dugdale. John Brown there looks as though he's having a bit of a harder time, but the two Kenyans are making light of this seriously competitive race. I mean, most of the world's leading distance runners are here, and look what they're doing to them.
319 on the outside, Paul Turgat. Incredible bunching by this Kenyan side. They've won the team title for the last 7 years, if I remember correctly, and before that, Ethiopia won it for 5. So that is the sort of dominance that the rest of the world is having to deal with here. Actually, William Sigai he's been in no man's land for some time on his own. Fida Bayisa there leading the Ethiopian group in. 137 is Gebre Selassie, those two at the front of that Ethiopian group. But there's a gap that isn't closing. And the two Kenyans, to me, look very comfortable. It's still early days with just 2 and a bit laps gone of this, let me remind you, 5-lap event. We're about at halfway, I guess, or thereabouts, probably coming up to halfway. Big crowd here in Basque country. Amore Bieta, just down the road from Bilbao.
Our unofficial positions at this point for the British team are 35th, Eamon Martin, 38th, Steve Tunstall, 40th, Andrew Pearson, running very well there, 53rd, Andy Bristow, and then the rest were surrounded by so many athletes we couldn't quite count their position. But that's the first 4 Britons, but we're now looking here at the first 4 Kenyans. We're looking at the 2 Kiruis, William Sigai, Moses Tanui, and then a little gap. And the chasing group now, 5th place, is Khalid Skar. He's used to coming from behind. He doesn't have to be in the lead at halfway. He's a very competitive finisher. He sometimes has let the Kenyans get a bit too far ahead of him. He's done that with John Ngugi before, but now he's now got to try and close the gap, because there's 3 gaps from to close. Moses Tanui running strongly there, and then Khalid Skar with Fida Bayisa just dropping off the back of the group, and Addis Abibi, the other Ethiopian, dropping off the back of the group. Well, Baissa has won all his races this year, and the point about it is many people said when it comes to the big occasion, he's not as good as he is in these other cross-country races. And we saw that in the Olympic Games, where he wasn't quite as good in the Olympic Games in the 10,000 metres as he had been all season. And I wonder if it's a little bit suspect, his temperament.
He has got, 3 bronze medals in the last 3 World Championships. 2 of them were World Junior Championships, though. And he got the 3rd place last season behind John Ngugi and William Mutwal, the Kenyan who hasn't made the team this time. And this looks ominous to me. These 2 Kenyans look so comfortable in front, and there is no impact being made on them at all. We're over halfway now, and we've got 4 Kenyans out in the front. And Moses Tanui, who's based in Italy now, in 4th place at the moment. He was only 13th in the trial, was Tanui. But he is a class athlete, as Brendan was saying earlier, the world champion at 10,000 metres. He has the pedigree, and we're told really fancied his chances here. So Kenya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 to count in the team. Look at that, 4 out, 2 groups of 2. Now that's helpful. And Khalid Scar having to rely upon the Ethiopians, and in fact he's leading that 3rd group. Little glance over the shoulder, and the team situation clear, but it's all about individual positions here. And Moses Tanui looking very, very useful. Sigai there, just taking a breather behind him from 3:17.
Well, Moses Tanui is starting a charge now. He's moved through the field there. He's got himself extricated from that chasing group, and he's in 3rd place and closing down on Ismail Karui, who's in 2nd place, and Dominic Karui, the leader. But Ismail Karui, as we know, the brother of Richard Chelimo, who decided to give this race a miss this year because his main target is to try and break the world record for 10,000 metres in Oslo later in the season. Dominic Karui waving to some of his friends in the crowd. Well, there's plenty of them here to support them. Moses Tanui 3rd over that barrier, and William Sigai, who I said earlier, unbeaten all season, but looks like he might be tasting his first defeat of the year. And there's the 3 Ethiopians following Khalid Scar, who's not happy having to lead that chasing group. He's got some help from the Kenyans, and he's surrounded by Ethiopians. But what an African domination we're seeing again today.
Well, as you saw there, 3 laps gone, 2 to go. And this is the business end now, with Kenya in the driving seat, and no attack yet coming from the Ethiopian Peter Baissa or Khalid Scar. But remember, Scar has such a devastating finish, but there's a big gap here, and there he is. You can't tell how he's feeling, but he's got his eye clearly on them. 3:11 there is Bitok, Ezekiel Bitok. If they haven't got enough Kenyans up, there's another one in the frame now. 27-year-old, he was 8th a couple of years ago. Won the African 5,000 Championship a couple of seasons ago as well. And they're the 2 leaders. Incidentally, Ismail Karui, his 5,000 metre time at 13:15.67 is 2nd on the world all-time list, so he's a real talent.
Well, 2/3 of the distance covered, and there's a lot of things could change in the latter stages of this race. Moses Tanui is running strongly in 3rd place. He looks as though he's got over that bad patch when they broke away from him, and he's now chasing the 2 leaders. So I'd take an early bet on the Kenyans winning this team race. They've won it for the last 7 years, and it looks like they're well on their way to doing that again.
Not sure who that is. And dropped out. 1 or 2 of the athletes have found the going very tough and have dropped out. But from the very slow, early pace, it really built up, with the Kenyans comfortable, and my goodness, don't they look comfortable. 3:14, Dominic Karui, leading from Ismail Karui, just 1 year after winning the World Junior title. And here he is, a major contender for the senior title.
Well, it's nice to see Moses Tanui back, the world 10,000 metre champion. And then the chasing group, Addis Abibi, Gebri Selassie, Bikila, Khalid Scar, And there's Baissa, tasting his first defeat of the winter. He seems to lack a little bit on these big occasions. He threatens so much, he promises so much, and yet when it comes to it, when all the big boys are here, he just doesn't seem to have the stomach for the fight.
Oh, he certainly looks as though he's gone now, doesn't he? He's dropped right off that third group. And we may well see the Kenyan four move together shortly. Scar still in there behind those Ethiopians, and it looks to me like a Kenya-Ethiopia team event. Doesn't take too much of a mathematician to work that out. That obstacle didn't prove too much of an obstacle, did it? They found the gap and moved through it. So, Kirui, from Tanui, from Sigai, Scar there. Gebre Selassie, 137. 132 is Addis Abebe. That's how they line up, and we're in this fourth lap now of a 5-lap race.
Well, Tanui did his level best to close that gap, and there was nothing doing. He couldn't do anything about it, and the two leaders are running on strongly. Their pace has been even since they broke away, and it's much to their advantage. And now William Sigai decides it's his turn to have a go. Can he do anything about it? Well, that gap is not getting any shorter. And Tanui is now suffering for his effort. He gave it his best shot, and now he's hurting there. But the four Kenyans well clear. We're sorry you won't be able to see it, but the British team are doing pretty well here. Andrew Pearson in 31st place, ahead of Eamon Martin, Steve Tunstall in 39th, Andy Bristow in 54th, and then further down the field, John Brown in 70th, Paul Roden in 97th, and Dave Clark running 120th at the moment, not running well at all. Paul Roden 129th. But this is a very, very competitive race. They're a good class distance runners, and you can see how far down they're feeling. But Andrew Pearson in 31st place, I'm impressed with that. I just hope he can hang on to it in the last third of the race. Dominic Kirui, Ismail Kirui. He's enjoying himself. He's waving to his friends there. He's quite happy doing that. And these two now are going to take some catching. It's going to be a very competitive race. They won't be running as a team now. They know the team's in place. They've looked over their shoulder. William Sigai in third, Moses Tanui in fourth. They've got the team race sewn up, and now it's who's going to be the champion. And it's definitely between these two. They've done everything right. I don't know what they're gesturing about, but they're obviously not having too many problems out there today.
Well, Khalid Scar, fourth last year, and of course twice winner of this World Championship, 350 in the red strip of Morocco. Way down on these athletes now. And he has got a devastating finish, but as Brendan was saying, it's a very big gap. And it's unlikely that there will be an attack now, because we're coming up to way over 3.5 laps gone. And just to remind you, it's 2,300 meters each of the laps. Then they've got about 250 meters to go down the finishing straight. So they've looked very easy. I mean, you wouldn't believe that these fellas have left the quality behind. And here's the end of the fourth lap now. Just coming with 1 lap to go. And that difficult part has not proved a difficult part. Now, we've got a little bit of a battle on here. A baby's coming through. 132. 137 is Gebre Selassie. Haile Gebre Selassie at 137. And then Khalid Scar at about 4th or 5th in that group. But the battle for the lead, I should say, and for the title is here.
Well, in that second group, the chasing group, the Ethiopian Gebre Selassie was second to Ismail Kirui in the junior race last year, and it's unusual to have two such juniors step up so convincingly to the senior ranks. There he is, number 137 in the middle of that group. Khalid Scar just behind him, and Addis Abebe. Well, the finish there is going to be tremendous between that lot, but I don't think they're going to do anything in closing the gap to the 4th placer, and I think these are racing for 5th place.
Into the last lap then of this 21st World Cross Country Championship for men. And it's been really a dominance as one expected to be by the Africans, particularly the Kenyans. 319, that's Paul Tergat on the right of your picture, is the Kenyan that's got left behind a little bit. Well, there are two of them there, aren't there? And that is the picture. And 1, 2, 3, there's a chap being lapped there. So he's 2,300 meters behind. So it is a battle. Kenya 1, Kenya 2, Kenya 3, Kenya 4. A story we so often associate with distance running now. Dominic Kirui, the taller of the two. And I wonder whether this 18-year-old, Brendan, in second place at the moment, can make it a double, really, winning the World Junior last season and then winning the Senior this season. It's going to be one big sprint finish between these two. Well, one thing's sure, Kirui is going to win it, I think.
Well, it's going to be a competitive race, it really is. Sigai in third place there, followed by Moses Tanui in fourth place. Incidentally, Andrew Pearson, the first Briton, the youngest of probably the youngest of the whole team there, running well in about 30th place and actually getting stronger as the race has gone on. And that's a good sign for the future. We need one of our cross-country runners to emerge and to show us that there's going to be a good future ahead for British distance running, particularly when the World Cross Country will be held in 2 years' time in Durham. But the Kenyans are having no problems with this race at all. William Sigai, Dominic Kirui, Ishmael Kirui. They're both anxiously looking over their shoulders, but I don't think there's any threat coming from behind. It's now a serious matter of who can come and collect the gold medal. Can it be the junior champion, the brother of Richard Chalimo, who's in second place? Or will it be Dominic Kirui? William Sigai in third place. Looks closer than he really is. And in fourth place, Moses Tanui. Well, we've become so accustomed to this sight, but it's a pleasure to see the Kenyan distance runners at their best. And Sigai starting to close that gap, really making the effort. I wonder if they're as conscious of him closing, and he's unbeaten this season. Dominic Kirui glances over his shoulder, and he'll see a threat coming from behind now. And what a burst he's put on to try and close the gap. They'll get a shock when they find another one joining them.
Actually, Sigai was in no man's territory for a long time, and then was joined by Moses Tanui, and then now starts to take the race on. And the point you were making earlier, as that lapped runner glances across, is that Sigai is a very fine athlete and has proved himself this season. And I wonder whether he's going to maintain that unbeaten record. So at the moment, Dominic Kirui leading. In second place is William Sigai. In third place, Ishmael Kirui. Fourth place, Moses Tanui, the world champion 10,000 meters. And this is going to be one very fast finish indeed. Well over halfway through this final lap now, and the sprint finish, well, somebody is going to prove himself here. Who's going to take them on?
And the final check we'll get before they come into the finishing straight for the British team. 31st place, Andrew Pearson, running a fine race. Eamon Martin, who's getting ready for the London Marathon, is just behind him in 33rd. Then Steve Tunstall in 45th. Then Andy Bristow in 61st. And John Brown in 73rd. Paul Roden in 100th place. And then Dave Clark, 119th. And Darren Meads dropped back now to 135th. So there's still some running to do for them, but here's the real race. Sigai in second place after having closed that gap, now taking a short rest. Dominic Kirui leading, and Ishmael Kirui hanging on to the back of that group. And we're going to see a really exciting finish here. And I wonder whether Sigai's taking a little bit too much out of himself closing that gap, but he certainly doesn't look as though he's checking up to see who else is in the group. And this is going to be one tremendous Kenyan finish.
Well, it's the second Kenyan trial of the year, that's for sure. My goodness, to get into the Kenyan team is in itself a marvellous feat. And these three now battling for the medals, with Moses Tanui now too far down, I think, to influence things. So this is the chasing group. 3-1-1, that's Ezekiel Bitok, but they're way down now. There's going to be no challenge from Khalid Skar. Peter Bayissa's gone a long time ago. And Sigai now moving out into position to strike. Who has the sprint finish? They look so comfortable, don't they? William Sigai, 3-1-7. And now we've got just over 250 meters to go, and when they get into the straight, this will be where the sprint takes on, and they're all in a line.
Well, they're all full of running as they enter into the finishing straight, and it's a long finishing straight, about 180, 200 meters, and they're really after it now. Dominic Kirui, Ishmael Kirui, and William Sigai giving them a yard or two now. Sigai in second place, Ishmael Kirui and Dominic Kirui, and there's fourth placer, Moses Tanui.
Well, there's the trailing group, and Khalid Skar, they're beaten on this day. 3-1-7, is that Sigai? Sigai it is, Sigai. Sigai took it. Well, what about that? And that's Dominic Kirui in second place and Ishmael Kirui in third. And what a change there was. As the producer went back to that other shot, it all changed round. And William Sigai really had a marvellous finish to his race. Khalid Skar, a man who came here with great hopes.
Started. British team. We've got Hayley Haining from Glasgow, Helen Patterson, Preston, Lucy Wright of Leeds, Liz Yelling of Bedford, and Hayley Yelling, her sister-in-law, from Hounslow. 5,000 metres, just 50 metres short of that to go. 3 laps of 1,600 metres. The course wide at this point, but it narrows very quickly. Brendan.
And it's a very challenging course. You can see the athletes jockeying for position now to get a good situation before the course narrows down, and then they go through. You see the mud underfoot, and then as they get onto the country, it's winding paths which are seriously muddy now and heavy going, but also twisting and turning. So it's a true cross-country course. Some athletes will prefer the underfoot conditions to others, and sometimes these courses bring out surprises, but also some of the big names sometimes can't perform when the conditions are like this.
The 3 leaders at the moment: Jevtic of Yugoslavia, who was third last year. Also up there is Keenan Buckley of Ireland, the world veterans champion. She's 37. And Helen Patterson from Preston and Great Britain. Till a fortnight ago, it was very heavily snowbound. The race in a valley in the mountains of Velenia, and they've had rain for the past fortnight, and the course really is sticky, to say the least. It really is heavy. You'll find that looking for better ground, but there's not much to be found. They're right across the course, each trying to pick their own way.
And a very enthusiastic start from the British team. I can see Helen Patterson, who's right up with the leaders there, and then a little bit further back, Hayley Haining from Scotland, and also Liz Yelling, formerly Liz Talbot, from the Bedford and County Club, the same club as Paula Radcliffe. But a very enthusiastic start there. Number 114, Helen Patterson from Preston Harriers, who's more renowned as a 1,500 metre runner, ran very well this season over 1,500 metres on the track, and we look forward to watching her run through the winter, because I think next year over 1,500 metres Helen Patterson's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
One thing's for sure, they'll know at the end of this they've been in a cross-country race in every sense. Course is a little bit hilly, but not quite what you'd expect in the mountains. Tucked away in the valley beside a big lake. But there's no interest in the scenery for these athletes. Patterson of Great Britain on the far side, 114 is the leader. Also up there is Maraki, 109, French athlete. 162, Jevtic, bronze for the last 2 years. And Liz Yelling back in about 7th, 8th place. Actually, just on the count back, I reckon 12th now. You'll know her better as Liz Talbot of Bedford, training partner of Paula Radcliffe. Married in the past few months to the former Bedfordshire cross-country champion, Martin Yelling.
Well, Helen Patterson won a race in Margate recently, a big cross-country race down there, and obviously she's running with very high level of confidence, but you've got to be a little bit careful. I hope she's not starting a little bit too enthusiastically. This is a class field. There are some outstanding runners, track runners, marathon runners and cross-country runners in this field, and Helen Patterson, really what you've got to do in a race like this is get a good position but not spend too much energy early on, and Helen Patterson really needs to just settle down, conserve a little energy. You can see she's running on the wide outside looking for decent underfoot conditions, but as David said earlier, there are no decent underfoot conditions to be found. So Helen Patterson, stretching them along, needs to just conserve her energy a little, just hold back a little, because she doesn't need to do too much running too early.
Each lap, 1,600 metres. And Patterson certainly looking full of confidence. A good season on the track. Got in the World Championship team in Seville at 1,500 metres. Actually, an athlete there showing for the first time. Note the number 153, Weiermann, a Swiss, who was the world junior champion at 1,500 metres in '97, and the European champion, or European bronze medalist rather, last year. That was at senior level.
Just coming into shot there, Fernando Ribeiro, Portugal, number 131 in the green vest, the Olympic champion, the reigning champion over 10,000 metres. And she's talking about moving up to the marathon next year, and we expect to see more of her over the cross-country races later in this season, including her debut for a race in Durham on January the 22nd. But Helen Patterson continues to lead, and I'm just looking down the field a little behind Helen Patterson, and I can see Liz Yelling back in about 10th place, and just behind her Hayley Haining. Both of those a bit more cautious opening lap, a bit more cautious start from the pair of them, and both of them now beginning to work their way through. Helen Patterson now surrounded by the other athletes, and as you can see, she's hugging the rail there just to try and find a bit of grass there, but as we can see from the evidence from the pictures, there isn't any to be found.
Going out now on the second lap of 1,600 metres. So do that 3 times before turning into the finishing funnel. I'm just doing a count back, and at the end of that first lap we've got Patterson in 4th place, Liz Yelling 12th, Haining 14th, Hayley Yelling 24th, and somewhere in the 40s Lucy Wright.
Well, just about less than half the distance of 5,000 metres completed, and there's still a big group at the front. The pace these athletes are running at, just looking by some of the split times, if they're accurate, and one suspects they are accurate, they're running around about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, over 3 minutes and 30 seconds for each kilometre, which tells me that the conditions underfoot are just treacherous, because they're running about half a minute slower than they can run on a track race. So 5,000 metres here, it's going to be tough, it's going to be demanding, but eventually the strong athlete's going to win. 7 minutes 41 through 2 kilometres, and that tells me all I need to know, that these are the tough, arduous and testing conditions.
Actually, the first 4 away and cleared out. Dita Romania, Jevtic is there, Marawi of France, Weiermann of Switzerland. And I've got news of the junior women's race. The team race won by Turkey, and the British team finished in 7th place. Walsh, Shaftesbury 11th, Rolfe, Bristol 31, Potter, Charnwood 37, Gelbert of Newquay, 49, and Fagan of Glasgow didn't finish, hamstring problems.
Constantina Dita, Romania, very happy to lead them along. She's more renowned as a half marathon and a marathon runner than she is a cross country and track runner. Jevtic behind her is a 10,000 meter runner, and then Anita Wireman, who's a bronze medal at the world level in the World Championships at 1,500 meters. So you can see the cross country brings together specialist distance runners from every facet, from 1,500 meters right through, including the marathon. And the two aspects of this race are the individual positions, athletes chasing European Championship gold, silver and bronze, but also there's an underlying thing to this, and it's the one time in the year when the team races become important. So the teams are as important to many of these athletes as the individual positions are.
Of course, Paula Radcliffe not defending this title, concentrating on preparation for the Olympic Games, because for her that's what really matters this season. Dita still the leader. Jevtic, well, a couple of bronzes in this the last 2 years. Looks very strong, the Yugoslav. Maroui of France, ex-Moroccan, as so many of the French team are. Dita, 29, twice the Balkan 10,000 meter champion. Jevtic second, Wireman third, Maroui fourth.
As I said, Dita's more renowned over a longer distance, and you can see she's trying to make her strength play here. She's stretching them along, she's trying to pull the pace along. She was 13th in the World Half Marathon Championships earlier this year, and she knows that if the longer the race goes, the better it's going to play to her advantage. But behind her, Jevtic looking good, and Wireman, the 1,500 meter runner, who will be interesting to see what distance she chooses to run in the Olympic Games, because she's renowned over 1,500 meters recently. But as she gets older and she gets a bit stronger, then you know we can sense that she's going to be able to run well over a further distance. And the leading group, Dita, the Romanian, Jevtic, the Yugoslav, Awit of France, and then Wireman in fourth place.
Wireman's only 22, so too Jevtic. But Wireman is not only good on the track. Well, we've seen the most of her. It's 1:53 in the all red. She's also good on the country too. Already this year, right at the start of the season, she beat Paula Radcliffe in Belfast to win their annual big international cross country.
I'm just looking at Anita Wireman there, David. We got a split time there through 3,000 meters in 11 minutes and 22 seconds. And Anita Wireman on the track has run almost 3 minutes faster than that at 8:35. So that just tells you everything about the difficult conditions that as we can see clearly here underfoot, but also the stiff uphill climbs and the undulations and the twists and turns. And really, you know, a good track runner, this is great winter training for a good track runner, because if you're able to run in conditions like this, the strength improves, the conditioning improves, and then eventually when you come to the track, well, I mean, the strength is a big advantage when it comes to track running.
I'll tell you what, Brandon, this is no track runner's course, but Wireman looks to me to be very strong indeed. Jevtic, well, she's determined that she's not going to end up with another bronze. And Liz Yelling moving through.
Running a very good race. Liz Yelling worked her way through from about 10th place. And now we can see Helen Patterson, the early leader, coming through. You can see the pain on her face after a little bit of an over-exuberant start from Helen Patterson. But there, looking down the field, you can see them twisting from side to side, trying to find somewhere where they can run with confidence, but it's difficult. And sometimes when you get going like that, you lose your confidence completely, and then you lose the spirit, and then it becomes a very difficult, long, hard race. But Anita Wireman tracking the leader, Konstantina Dieter, and Liz Yelling closing up there, moved through really well, running a real good race in the middle of this race, moving through into 5th place now, and continues to run and close down on that group of 4.
Jevtic pressing along quite hard in front. Twice the European under-23 10,000 metre champion. Varmans, also only 22. Marawi, bit of a surprise this. She's 32. Has been running half marathons a lot this year. The French girl in 3rd place. Or possibly should say woman. Dieter seems to be feeling it a bit. Downhill patch here, but it's difficult to relax on this ground.
It certainly is, and you can see them going from side to side. The tight corners and the sand, they put a bit of sand down to try and help the athletes. And Liz Yelling in 5th place there, pulling away from the 6th place athlete. And there, that time just continues to tell me how difficult these athletes are finding this. Jevtic, the 10,000 metre runner, won medals at the junior level but never won a medal at the senior level, and equally Anita Wireman won medals at the junior level on track and cross country but never won a gold medal at the senior level. So these two, the two of the youngest athletes in this field, Anita Wireman on the inside and Jevtic on the outside, both of them have distinguished themselves at the junior level, but neither of them have won a gold medal at the senior level, and the two of them pulling away from the others and looking as though it could be down to those two. And in 5th place still, Liz Yelling battling there and holding on and running very well.
Jevtic the leader, Fireman in 2nd place, Marawi 3rd, Dieter in 4th, and Liz Yelling in the colours of Great Britain in 5th place. Just can't close that gap. Just been doing a count back as they're getting to the closing stages. Yelling of Great Britain 5th, Pattinson 15th, Haining 20th, Hayley Yelling 24th, and 42nd Lucy Wright.
Well, now Wireman really starting to ask the questions, testing Jevtic. She's gone to the front a little bit early because we've seen Anita Wireman. She's got a very good finish, but she's not prepared to settle today for using that finish. She's working hard. She's trying to pull away early to get a gap over Jevtic. She's pulled a few yards there, and as you can see, the 4 leading athletes just being closed down slightly by Liz Yelling. And really, it doesn't matter whether Liz Yelling catches anyone now, because she's in 5th place now. She looks solid for at least 5th. And when you look back at the results, the only athlete who's ever finished higher than 5th in the European Cross Country Championships for Great Britain is her teammate Paula Radcliffe. So an excellent performance here by Liz Yelling. It's good to see her coming back to form. It's good to see her running well at this stage of the winter, but Wireman senses that she's got a chance now.
Well, she's the fastest track runner, but this is not a track race. She's gone early, obviously strong and clearly confident. And Marawi, the French athlete, suffering. Yelling slowly, closing.
Well, it looks as though the 1500 metre runner, Wireman, has gauged this one correctly. She still looks strong, she still looks powerful. The course has obviously sapped the energy out of all these athletes. You can tell that by how comparatively slow they've been running over the kilometre distances. But Konstantina Dieter, the half marathon runner, finding a little bit. And Jevtic has just got to hang on in there to 3rd place. But Anita Wireman got some information from a coach on the side of the course and suddenly started to sprint. So Wireman now on the outside there, looking good and looking strong and heading towards her first ever championship gold medal at the senior level.
She's certainly going for broke now. Looks back, and if she can stick it, the gold is safe. Dieter now in second place, and yet another bronze for Jeftic. That race for second place is not over yet, and yelling in the background, closing down on Marawi, who's having a really bad time. There's the finish, up the little hill, and Anita Weiermann of Switzerland on her way to gold and the European Women's Cross Country Championship. Looks back, she's safe, and takes the title. Weiermann wins. The race for second place has been won by Dieter of Romania. Jeftic, Yugoslavia, her third successive bronze, and Yelling comes through for a magnificent fourth place. She really has run well. The race on for fifth place, Tomashova of Russia coming through. Marawi was sixth, Marasova seventh, Eva Lane in eighth place. And it's close in the team race. Great Britain close to the medals. I'm afraid possibly not close enough. So maybe fourth, could be third, but maybe fourth.
And confirmation, David Coleman correct, just outside the medals. France, Romania, Portugal, Great Britain in fourth. But a great individual performance by Liz Yelling in fourth place. Congratulations. Men's race coming up a little bit later, and of course we've got horse racing too, the Hong Kong Cup, and basketball, the semi-finals of the National Cup. It's the equivalent of the FA Cup in basketball.
1,500 metres. First 100 metres, bit of a sprint, it's wide, and then after about 400 metres it narrows very, very quickly. The British team today: Dominic Bannister, Shaftesbury; John Brown, our number one, Sheffield; Comerford, Cardiff; Cullen, Chelmsford; Kesker, Birchfield; and Stevenson of Cardiff. Now in this race, 6 run for each national team, and the first 4 home score.
And across the field you've got marathon runners. You've got Stefan Boldini, the 1998 European Marathon Champion. You've got 1,500 metre runners. You've got 10,000 metre runners and steeplechasers. One of the early leaders there, the actual leader, Weilinger, the Austrian steeplechaser, finished 9th in the World Championships at the steeplechase. And you've got cross-country specialists. This course is going to be difficult and demanding. You can see as the races have gone on during the afternoon, it's cut up really badly, so it'll be very difficult to maintain a very fast pace. So it really is going to be a test of strength and a test of ability, but most of all, I think today, a test of determination.
John Brown about 5th or 6th at the moment. Guerra, twice the champion before, on the outside of Weidlinger in the hat, and Nyberg of Sweden, Henriques of Portugal, Brown of Great Britain. This course and the going should suit John Brown, but I do know he's not been in full training. Got a hip problem. But this is John Brown's sort of course, although I do believe he intends to concentrate on cross-country and marathon running in future.
Well, he thinks the track races have gone out of his reach now, and he thinks his chances of glory in the future are going to be over cross-country and marathon running. And I'm sure that we'll see John Brown later in the season running well over the cross-country races. He has been training at altitude in the USA, in Boulder, Colorado, with one of the other British team members, Carl Kesker. And there's a real spirit of cooperation and determination in this British team. And you know, this is a good team they've got out today. Keith Cullen, we expect to run well, and always we expect John Brown to be the #1 counter. But one of his dangers just suddenly shot to the front on the outside, and that was the 2-time champion Paulo Guerra.
As you mentioned Cullen's name, he joined John Brown. They're really beginning to stretch out already. On the far side, Nyberg of Sweden. Near side in the hat, Weidlinger. John Brown on the far side in the pale vest, following the twice former champion Guerra, who was 3rd in this year's World Cross Country, shocked the Africans in Belfast. He's been in trouble for a couple of years with injuries, and missed most of this track season through tendinitis.
Well, there was a marker there, a 1 kilometre marker, and they went through there in 3 minutes and 14 seconds. That, if you compare that with the speed that John Brown ran when he set the British 10,000 metre record of 27 minutes and 18 seconds, that's half a minute a kilometre. So this course is paying its way and slowing them down to the extent of a run about 20 to 30 seconds per kilometre. So later on, there are going to be some very tired athletes, and really the extra mileage and the extra training and the extra fitness, and really, as I said earlier, the determination is a major factor here today.
It would be a lovely setting in different conditions. Weidlinger, one of the youngest in the senior race, 21. Good steeplechaser. Coached by his father, Heinrich.
Just looking at that leading group there, there's been a good start by the British team. There's John Brown on the left, Keith Cullen, the black hair, right in the middle, number 21. And then I can see Dominic Bannister back in about 10th place, and alongside Dominic Bannister, Carl Keska. And there on the inside, just near the fence, is young Christian Stevenson from Cardiff, and his teammate and training mate, Nick Comerford from Cardiff as well. So the British team have really started with enthusiasm. They've got themselves into the position, and none of them have run particularly quickly in the early stages, so they have conserved their energy. So a good promising start from the British team.
The Portuguese, the favourites, also packing well. Led, of course, by two outstanding athletes on the country, Guerra and Henriquez, his clubmate, who wears 50. Weidlinger is 4, Nyberg 71, 19 John Brown. Showing for the first time now is the Frenchman El Amadi, wearing 12.
And the marker there says 5 laps to go in the men's senior European cross-country championships. And if you look ahead, you can see they're looking for good ground. They're spread from one side of the course to the other. On the inside, they'll find it very soft and sapping. On the outside, they'll have to run a little bit further, and it doesn't look as though the conditions on the outside are any better either. And there, darting through on the inside, comes one of my favourite European athletes, Domingos Castro. He seems to have been around forever. 1988, he finished 4th in the Olympic Games in Seoul. He's 36 years of age. He's a very versatile athlete and been an outstanding contributor to Portugal's distance running over the years. And suddenly, for no apparent reason, he's come spurting through on the inside and suddenly opened up a gap, which John Brown recognises very quickly.
He's enjoying a golden period. Second in this year's New York City Marathon. Inside 2 hours 10. Real evergreen. Got a twin brother, Dionissimo, who's quite good as well. In fact, very good.
Nice thing for him, though. He's already been picked by the Portuguese Federation after his run in New York to run in the 2000 Olympics in Sydney in the marathon. I'm sure he'll feature strongly there. And these Portuguese athletes, they don't half seem able to continue and run in advanced years. 37, I shouldn't say advanced, but it is advanced. Domingos Castro there, been a great servant to Portuguese distance running over the years.
Well, he's really led them to the front. Portuguese 1, 2 and 3 there. Castro, Guerra and Henriquez. Their problem's finding their 4th man. And it's Ramos who's just gone through the picture. When you struggle on courses like this, you really are in trouble. Those men we just saw at the back, digging deep. There are some athletes who can float over mud, or appear to. The ones who are going deep are just going deeper into trouble.
And there we just see Domingos Castro, the young 37-year-old, darting through on the inside there. Maybe he's found a bit of decent underfoot conditions, but probably not. But he's starting to stretch them and run away from them. And the Portuguese athletes, well, Portugal have been the most successful cross-country running nation in Europe for the last 10 years or so. And once again today they've got athletes in first and second place. That's Guerra and Henriquez, teammates together, talking together, communicating about what they're going to do during the race. And just behind them, the other Portuguese athlete, Paulo Guerra. The British team are in good position. The Portuguese look to be in a strong position. It's going to be an interesting race as it unfolds.
Well, the Portuguese certainly in a strong team position. It's that fourth man. But he's running somewhere in the teens at the moment, so they're clearly in the lead in the championship. But Great Britain, well up there. Keith Cullen's finding it a bit harder now. But John Brown sticking close to the Portuguese, the two big men for them. Henriquez, who was 14th in the World Championship in Belfast earlier this year, and Guerra, who was 3rd. Brown was 8th in that race, of course dominated by the Africans in the main, but they were shocked by Guerra.
Well, just comparing that team race, you've got the two Portuguese there, and then there's two Britons. There's John Brown and Keith Cullen, then a third Portuguese, and that's Castro, but then a third Briton, Dominic Bannister. So both teams now are looking for their 4th scorer.
And just behind that leading group is the defending champion wearing 80. There he is in the blue, Lebed of the Ukraine. Not enjoying this one little bit. He's one of those athletes who has to dig. And this ground's, well, been dug.
Well, some class athletes, David, can't really function in these conditions. Sometimes it's not just a test of strength and physical ability, but sometimes it's technique. And also, once you start to run badly on a course like this, then the confidence goes, and eventually the enthusiasm goes, and the determination goes. And some athletes will be coming away from this event today, and they'll be looking at the results and they'll be saying, how on earth did I finish 2 or 3 minutes behind people like Guerra and Castro, Henriquez and John Brown? And sometimes it's not a reflection on ability, it's just a reflection on how they can cope with these difficult, sapping and tiring conditions. And look at all the time Guerra on the outside, he's looking for somewhere better to go. That lap time, 5:29, you can sense that they're going to start to pick the pace up and go even faster.
Actually, I must say, Brendan, looking for good ground here is impossible. You might as well take the short route.
The only time you'll find good ground on this course, Dave, is when it's covered in snow.
They expected that, by the way.
I think some of the athletes expected it. If it had been frozen, it might have been slightly different. Once again, on the inside there, we're looking at Domingos Castro, who seems to have found the one decent bit of running conditions on the inside here, next to the rail, coming up there, and quickly again coming through the field, joining his teammates. So the Portuguese athletes have got 1, 2 and 4, and then John Brown and Keith Cullen at the back of the group, representing Great Britain very well. And before this race, John Brown talked about trying to lead the British team to a medal of some description. They don't expect to beat Portugal, but they do expect to figure on the medal rostrum today.
The Portuguese taking it in turn to press it. Henriquez now in front. Guerra follows. They belong to the same club. Castro in 3rd place. Al Amadi of France 4. Weidlinger, Austria goes 4. John Brown is 6th, moving up to 5th as he passes Castro. Even this downhill can be treacherous. It's well sanded, but you need a lot of confidence to let yourself go and then turn right and uphill.
And just at the back of the group there, that's Keith Cullen, who finished 10th for Great Britain last year. And Keith's given up his work. He's a graphic designer, and he's given up his work completely so that he can concentrate on his running. And it looks as though over the last few weeks his running certainly has come to a peak and come to a boil. And there's Keith Cullen just moving through the shot there, running well, staying to the task. and just hanging on to the back of the group, as Paulo Guerra, who seems to have been keen to make the pace go a little bit faster, came through past his training mate and the club mate Henriquez and into the lead.
Very little wind, which is one blessing. Well, they've done their best to make the course safe, because on some of these downhill stretches, which have been sanded, when the athletes had training runs round, they were sliding all over the place. Into the fence, in fact.
And just looking down the field, as we saw the back of some of the athletes, I just noticed Karl Keska has just come past Dominic Bannister, and both of them are moving through, and there are 4 Britons ahead of the 4th Portuguese runner, so the team race is getting very interesting. If it was 3 counters, which often at this level it is 3 counters, then the Portuguese would win this race hands down. But it's 4 to score, and you can see the 2 Britons in that leading group with 3 Portuguese. But then further down the field, Karl Keska moving through, Dominic Bannister running a good solid race there, as well as John Brown leading the team, and Keith Cullen just at the back of that group.
And when they go out on the next lap, they've completed the 3rd of these big laps, I'll try and get a count back. Henriquez has been testing Guerra. Alamadi, the Frenchman, in 3rd place, only 4th in the French trial, but clearly conditions suit him. Wandering all over the course. That's the short line.
Well, these 2 Portuguese really have picked the pace up. Henriquez finished 14th in the World Cross Country Championships in Belfast in similar conditions last year, and the twice European Cross Country champion Paulo Guerra, who finished 3rd in the World Cross Country last year in Belfast. The 2 of them really lifting the pace now. You can see the way their arms are moving, the cadence of their legs, and they're moving extremely well, beginning to pull away, and that group's opening largely. So the 2 Portuguese working together, taking it in turn to lead, and they seem to be moving into a different pace altogether to the rest of the group. And that gap has opened very, very quickly indeed.
Henriquez determined to test his more famous clubmate. Guerra goes across around the halfway mark now. They should be approaching now the start of the 3rd lap from home. Henriquez on the short route, and Guerra, Brendan, is running very wide.
He certainly is, and that lap was faster than the previous one, as it looked as though it was. And there's Keith Cullen, the 2nd Briton, and there's Karl Keska, the 3rd Briton, just coming through, number 22. And I can just see Dominic Bannister, the 4th Briton, coming through there, number 18. So 4 Britons through, and there's Christian Stevenson, the 5th Briton, and still we haven't got the 4th Portuguese runner. So the British team of 4 in a strong position, and it's going to go to the count back, and they're looking down the field. There's the 4th Portuguese runner, number 48. That's Chaika of Portugal. And then we're looking for the other Portuguese athlete, Almeida and Ramos. So the Portuguese are really now, they're solid with their first 3 counters, but they're going to depend on a good run by one of their 4th counters to win the team race.
Well, I just tried to count back. In fact, you missed out their 4th counter. He's in 16th place at the moment. It's Ramos. And at the end of that lap, Brown is 3rd, Cullen 8th, Keska 10th, Bannister 13th, Stevenson 16, and Comerford 49. Those the British placings, roughly.
And now looks as though the race is between the 2 training partners and teammates from Portugal. Paulo Guerra, who won this race when it was held first time ever in Anik. He won it 2 years in a row when it was first held in 95 and 96, or 94 and 95 in Alnwick. He was second the following year, so he's got an outstanding record in the European Cross Country Championships. He certainly is the most outstanding European cross country runner of the 90s. He's the only non-African to get a medal in the World Cross Country Championships at the senior level for men. So he's very, very confident when he's fit and when he's running well on the country. He's yet to translate his outstanding form on the cross country onto the track yet, but eventually, if he follows the traditional pattern of these Portuguese runners, then eventually I imagine Paulo Guerra will end up running a good marathon or a half marathon in years to come. But for the moment, he wants to try and be the first man ever to win 3 titles at the European Cross Country Championships. He's got his teammate for company, but he's also got him for a battle. The two of them both running well in the weeks leading up to this championships. Paulo Guerra came into this race probably as favourite, but Henriquez was always going to be a man he had to be careful of.
Great Britain's best team performance in this European Championship was 3rd back in 95 at Alnwick on home ground. But they're certainly lying in 2nd place at the moment to the Portuguese. Guerra looks determined. Again, he sacrificed the lead by going wide. But he's a man who surely knows what he's doing.
Interestingly enough, the last race coming into this championship, Henriquez beat Guerra. It was a suggestion that Guerra was saving himself for the championship race, which he was very determined to try and add to his already successful tally of 2 gold medals and 1 silver medal. And now look at him, he really is now trying to break away from his teammate. Look how quickly his legs are moving. He's really trying to run quickly just through this point, just to try and wear down his teammate. His teammate's been beaten so many times over the years by Guerra that if Guerra just gets a gap on him, then I'm sure his confidence will begin to soar, and Henriquez will realise that once again Guerra's got the beating of him on a cross-country race. And that's exactly why Guerra is pushing the pace along now, just trying to steal those extra few yards. When the gap becomes significant, then the athlete behind often settles for second, and that's what Guerra is trying to do. He's trying to make Henriquez realise that he's the champion, he's the best over the country at this time of the year.
Well, certainly is on trial now. And there's a big gap between the Portuguese and the 3rd runner. They really have run right away. He's a remarkable runner, Guerra. Shows no pain, no sign of any discomfort whatsoever, and never does.
And that lap there, 5:19, that was the fastest lap of the race so far. And what he's trying to do, he seems to have accomplished. He seems to have taken his teammate Henriquez away from this chasing group, led by John Brown and Domingos Castro and the Frenchman El Amadi. So those 3 battling it out for the bronze medal. And looking down the field, this is an interesting team race. There's Karl Keska. The further the race has gone, the faster Karl Keska's moved through and the better he's run. His training in America with John Brown's obviously done him good. It's good to see that. And Keith Cullen running well there, and then Dominic Bannister. And he would have to say at this point the British team must be leading the team race.
Not quite, but they're closing. Ramos is dropping. He's gone through the picture, but he's dropped from 16th. He's certainly now in the 20s. And it's going to be very close if he stays there. Well, Guerra's running away with this. But we've got some great news for British supporters from the junior men's race. The Great Britain team has won the gold medal. The news just through. Great Britain 26 points, France in second place 38, and Ireland third 43. The British placings: 5th Farah of Hounslow, 10th Vernon Stockport, 11th Thompson Aldershot, 19th Maycock of Sale, and 25th Bolt of Bracknell. Great news for Great Britain, the first time ever.
Well, that is great news, David, and it seems like the senior team are drawing some inspiration from the junior team. A gold medal performance by the junior team, and at the moment the senior team, there's the individual leader Guerra, but the senior team are battling it out, and it's neck and neck with Portugal for the senior team race. And this would be a resurgence. It would be a good landmark at the end of 1999 for the British team to do such a special performance here in the European Cross Country Championships, because this is the event where Britain really can do well. 7 kilometers in 24 minutes and 18 seconds, and he's now beginning to look like a track runner. The speed he's going down that hill at. Paulo Guerra looks as though he's just got to stay on his feet to win this race. His teammate Henriquez in second place looks as though he's settled for second, and John Brown still leading the battle for third place, but no doubt getting information from the coaches and fellow athletes on the side of the course who'll be totting up the scores, which seem to be changing, David, and they seem to be very much in the balance.
It's so evenly balanced. They're about level, so I've heard from the course, with Portugal. Very, very close indeed. But Ramos, the fourth counter for Portugal, having a really bad time.
Well, his teammates having a really good time here. Guerra looking very impressive. When he got a bronze medal in Belfast, he crossed the line behind Paul Turgat in the World Cross Country Championships. He crossed the line as though he was winning the medal, the gold medal himself. Well, I'm sure he's only got to keep going now to win a gold medal here in the European Cross Country, to go with his bronze medal in the World Cross Country Championships, and that'll make it a great year for Paulo Guerra. We didn't see much of him in the summer, we tend not to, but in the years to come I'm sure we'll see more of him on the roads and on the country. He's only 28, 29 years of age, so I think he's got 3 or 4 more years of good running ahead of him. And if you look at his teammate, who's still running strongly and still running well, Domingos Castro at the age of 36, then he's got a long career ahead of him.
Enrique is dropping quickly. That's a lapped athlete. And look at the way Guerra's skating over this ground. Henriquez undoubtedly has settled for second place. But Guerra driving along. He looks so fresh.
He looks incredibly comfortable and balanced on this course. You see some of the athletes veering from side to side, having difficulty in the mud, having difficulty keeping their balance. But Paulo Guerra in full flow looks like a very, very good athlete indeed. I wonder whether he can challenge the Africans later in the year. People like Paul Turgat, who's won the World Cross Country Championship 5 times in a row and is heading for his 6th title in Vilamora in Portugal in March. And I wonder whether we're seeing the third placer from this year's World Cross Country Championships improving, and that lap's the fastest yet, 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Well, it's certainly, the distance is certainly having no effect on him. You hear the bell there, they're going into the last lap. The 2 Portuguese, first and second, and then you can see a long gap down the muddy finishing straight there to John Brown, who's still leading Domingos Castro in 3rd and 4th places.
Actually, the officials getting in a mess there. They showed a lapped athlete, 1 lap to go. But John Brown is moving quite strongly. Just do a count back. Keep going, Brendan.
Well, there's Guerra leading, and now lapping athletes. These other athletes are just about a mile behind him and having a bad time of it. And he's accelerating, if anything. As we said earlier, Europe's most successful cross-country runner of the 90s, following in the great tradition of Portuguese distance running. The great Carlos Lopez was Europe's outstanding cross-country runner of the 70s and 80s, and now this man taking over his mantle. and doing it extremely powerfully and doing it extremely well, and looking very much at ease at this pace, with a gap growing all the time, being well supported by a good turnout of supporters here in Slovenia. And Paulo Guerra, only what he does every day, less than a mile away now from winning the European Cross Country Championship.
Well, now with help from the course, I can tell you Great Britain lead. Ramos has dropped into the 30s now, and the countback shows Brown 3rd, Koska 9th, then Cullen 11th, Bannister 12, Stevenson 21, and Copperford 48. So Britain's counting 4 in the first 12. And again, news from the course, Great Britain 36 points at this stage, Portugal 44.
Well, if it stays like that and the positions stay like that, this will be a great day for British cross-country running, which we hope will mark a resurgence in British distance running. And it's fitting that a resurgence in British distance running is being led by Britain's top distance runner, and that's John Brown, as he watches Paulo Guerra, twice champion, once runner-up, and now just enjoying himself over the later stages here. Looking back down the course, look at the gap now, it's grown quickly in the last mile and a half. Henriquez running very well, Eduardo Henriquez in second place. And then further down the field, we'll look for John Brown and the other Portuguese athlete. There's the leader, there's the leading Portuguese. We've seen the second place Portuguese, and the third place Portuguese, Domingos Castro, is running with John Brown.
That really is the battle for bronze, and it's a close one too. Well, this is quite astonishing. He's moving so easily, he's so relaxed.
And he can't enjoy it now. He's looked over his shoulder, he's seen the gap to his teammate. He's got less than 800 meters remaining. He's conquered this course in every way. He's conquered the athletes from every team in Europe in his own inimitable style. And here he is, enjoying himself, still looking for the little bits of grass that give him a little bit of a purchase when he turns around the corners there, running on the outside, but he can afford to do that. And between him and Henriquez, there are a few lap runners, but Paulo Guerra has impressed us all year on the country, and today, well, he's just run away with this race. There's the leader, there's the second place runner, and now we concentrate on the leader who's within sight of the finish. A couple of tight corners, muddy corners to negotiate, glances over his shoulder, he knows he can relax, he knows he can enjoy the support of the crowd, and if he looks ahead of himself, he'll see the gathered crowds there down the road at the finish, round the corner, and then he's well on his way. Paulo Guerra from Portugal.
Still driving, but still looking untroubled. In spite of making it look so easy, it must be hurting as well, because this is punishing. Henriquez seems to be gaining, although Guerra doesn't seem to be slowing down. On the way to the finish, timing clock in sight. As he gets to the top of this hill, you'll see it clearly. And Paulo Guerra, the champion in 94, in 95, and the champion again in 99. 3 times the European cross-country champion. Henriquez in second place, the 2 clubmates from Portugal. Partners both off the track and on the track. Good run by Henriquez, and they're a long way away from the third man. Who's that going to be, Castro or Brown? It's the first sign that he's actually looked a little breathless. John Brown in third place, he's broken away And Brown, the champion in '96, comes through to take the bronze medal this time. Looks back, Castro's in 4th place at the moment, and the Frenchman, Alamardi, is 5th. John Brown takes the bronze for Great Britain. And if the British boys can hold their places, they're going to win the team gold. Brown takes the bronze. That's the gold medalist, Guerra. Castro is 4th. There's Lebed in 6th place. That's Postella of Italy. Kesca comes next, he's 9th. The Birchfield Harrier. So Britain with 2 in now. And in the background there we've got Bannister. And behind him Cullen, so Great Britain with 4 in the first 12. I think they've taken the team gold.
Congratulations, they have. Great double for Great Britain. They took the gold in the senior men's race, and then they got the gold in the juniors too. So across country, well, we're leading the field.
Congratulations, John. Individual bronze and team gold for Great Britain. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, far more delighted with the team result than my own individual result. I came here mainly, you know, for the team, and because we thought we had a good chance of. Well, we didn't think we were going to win the race, but we thought we were surely going to get medals. So that was my main motivation to come here, and you know, give British distance running a big boost from the result.
Well, you certainly did that. And when the Portuguese made their break, I sensed that perhaps you were holding back a bit. Perhaps were you thinking more about the team result at that stage than your individual chances?
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% fit myself, so I mean I wasn't too concerned of, you know, sacrificing everything to try and win the race. That wasn't my priority. My priority was to, you know, give the best possible position up front I could for the team. And so yeah, when they went, I wasn't going to commit myself and risk everything. It was more important to play it safe. And I mean, I felt pretty sure I was going to get 3rd, but I didn't want to, you know, risk that by blowing up.
And were you aware of how close it was between Great Britain and Portugal for the team standings? It was nip and tuck all the way.
Yeah, I was getting some information from the course on the last couple of laps, and yeah, I mean that really helped me when I was running. You know, to know we were doing that well. You know, it's definitely a boost when I heard that. So, and I'm sure it was for the rest of the guys as well. You know, when you hear that you're in a winning team position, you know, it really lifts you towards the end of the race. And
then looking ahead to next year, you're our top male distance runner. What will it be for the Olympics? Will it be the track or will it be the marathon?
I'm more or less given up on the track now, so marathon is where my goals and ambitions lie in the future. It's the last major adventure for me in distance running, so I'm looking forward to that.
Anyway, thank you. Well done for your adventure here today in the cross country.
Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations.